When the Winter Olympics begin this week in Torino, Italy, Rochester will once again be represented. It's part of a remarkable run, as News 8 Now's Dave McKinley reminds us in this News 8 Then Extra.
Whether they came home with medals or not, it can be said each of the Rochester area's many Winter Olympians made their mark on the Games. Diane Roth won a silver medal in skiing in 1992 in Albertville, but...
winning a silver was cool, but you always just lost the gold.
So back she came 2 years later to Lillehammer, striking gold in the Super G.
For that day, everybody knew who I was. That is cool.
And it was a world away from her humble beginnings on the slopes at Brantling near her native Williamson. Several local Winter Olympians never won medals, but still claimed places in Olympic history. By the time he retired in 1998, A.J. Kidd of Gates was the only American male to have competed in 4 straight Olympic downhills. Joan Smith of Honeoye Falls placed a distant 14th in the 15-kilometer biathlon at the 94 Games in Lillehammer. That may not seem like much till you consider that, to this day and 3 Olympics later, hers remains the top finish ever for an American female in a sport dominated by nations other than the U.S. Freestyle aerial skier Tracy Evans of Hornell never medaled either, but she did make it to 3 Olympics. The last was 4 years ago in Salt Lake City after she'd come out of retirement and when, at age 34, she made her mark as being among the oldest U.S. athletes ever to participate in the Winter Games. And would you believe that while this area produced the oldest member of the U.S. squad that year, it also produced the youngest?
It's just great to know that I have everybody behind me.
Churchville's Lindsay Wall was just 16 when she helped the U.S. women's ice hockey team win silver. She is back on the team in Torino this year, along with Kim Inzalaku of Greece, the latest Olympic athlete to carry on a Rochester tradition. A tradition some might say could be traced to here, Lake Riley, Cobbs Hill Park. This was where, in the early 1960s, the city used to hold an annual speed skating competition, often won by a gal named Janice Smith, who went on to become our area's first modern Olympian. She would not medal, but she stayed active in the sport, sowing the seeds for others who might follow. Why, here she is, just back from the 1964 Games in Innsbruck, Austria, urging the County Board of Supervisors to fund a youth speed skating program. Though Janice Smith may not have been an Olympic champion, her efforts blazed a trail for others, notably someone we caught sight of just 11 years later when she was just starting to make her mark.
Also on hand today was Kathy Turner, the local 13-year-old who has won every Eastern and Western U.S. speed skating meet she's entered since 1971.
The rest, as they say, is history for she who would become Rochester's most decorated Olympic athlete ever. 3 Olympic Games, 4 medals, including 2 gold. Kathy Turner would end up as the 3rd most decorated Winter Olympian in any sport of all time.
That kind of gives me a little perspective as to how big it really is and what I've accomplished.
Never satisfied, it seems, she always hungered for more, like when she met the president and a handshake was just not good enough, providing us with an appropriate way to wrap up our story.
Remember that.
We got one more to tell you about, believe it or not. His name was Ron Quixote, who lived for a time in Fairport. He was a member of the first U.S. Olympic snowboarding team in Nagano in 1998. Yeah. And while tonight we just highlighted our local Winter Olympians, believe this or not, there were even more Summer Olympians past with Rochester connections. Another story for another time, perhaps.
Dave McKinley with News 8 Then Extra. Nice job.